Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Continuing on the series of taking a deeper dive into some of Michael Jackson's biggest hits, I wanted to touch on a song that we might consider an unsung hero because it was from an older album from Michael Jackson. I think this was from Off the Wall. It has a very unique musical approach and it really intrigued me as someone who is a musician, and even people who are non-musicians can appreciate the artistry behind the music. So I wanted to dive into this one, and this is none other than I Can't Help It. And this is a very beautiful R&B neo soul type of feel. And when I start to look into it, this song was actually written by Stevie Wonder. And it also helped me have a newfound appreciation for his style of music, harking back to, I believe, the 70s, 80s, and how even to this day, Stevie Wonder is still considered one of the pioneers of modern R&B, neo soul, and all the good stuff. So I wanted to break down some of the chords from this. I won't break down the entire song. If you guys want the full lesson, let me know. I can add it to the Simple Keys Lab. But I just wanted to dive into the genius behind some of these chords and the placements and the movements, and to see what we can grab from it. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. So this song has got a very interesting approach. Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, and Michael Jackson came together to make this classic of a song. And when I started to do some research on it and I saw that Stevie Wonder was actually the mastermind behind some of the movements, the chords, it made a lot of sense. Stevie Wonder does something that is quite unique that we don't necessarily hear too much in modern music. And especially for the time, if this is the 70s and 80s, a lot of the chords that we're hearing here, we still don't even hear these chords as often today, unless you're trying to play some old school R&B from the 80s and the 90s. Some of the chords that you hear most of the time are reserved for church. You don't hear a lot of the dissonant chords we're about to dive into. But he does something interesting in that he's able to jump into multiple keys, but make it feel so fluid that even as non-musicians, we can appreciate the sound. And it keeps us hooked from the start to the finish. So it's got a really nice groove to it. So I'll go ahead and start with the first couple of chords. But usually the first question I ask is, what key are we in? And this song, I would say, doesn't have a set key per se, but it does want to resolve in the key of A flat, which is where we will start. But we're going to be borrowing chords, and this is something that you usually find in neo soul and R&B. So this is kind of like the foundation of that sound. And we're going to be using chords that do have quite a bit of dissonance that you don't hear in today's music as much, because they do not sound as pleasing. And that's why we hear a lot of pop music have a lot of straight chords. You might hear these are very straight chords based on the diatonic scale, but you will notice that right away when we start this song, we start with a totally different chord, and that is very unique in and of itself. So go ahead and dive right in. So let's say we're in the key of A flat for this one, but we're going to be jumping between what I would call maybe loosely B major, and then jump to A flat, and then we might even jump to B flat. It does borrow chords from all of these keys, but it's always resolving to this A flat major scale, and that's why I'm just calling it the key of A flat major, just to give you guys some kind of context and root to understand where I'm at. So A flats are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you guys also want to learn how I'm able to pick up a lot of these movements and chords, I do have a program called Master the Piano. You can check it out at the site. I'll walk you through the entire music learning system, from the fundamentals, chords, progressions, and how to break down songs. And if you also want to learn how to play in all 12 keys, I also have a guide on that. It walks you through all the 12 major minor keys to help you understand the relationships between them, so that when you are getting to this point where you're taking chords from other keys, it makes a lot more sense because you know what key signature we're talking about. So you can check that out. I'll have that link down in the description or in the comment section. So let's go ahead and start with this. So let's go ahead and play the intro. It's going to start something like this. And that's the first part. Now this chord is really what I wanted to dive into. This is something that we don't hear often, and this is where I'd say we are roughly in B major. It's not B major, but if I could give it like a key or root, I'd kind of consider it like playing a flat 7 in B major. Now this chord is like an augmented 9 sharp 11. All right, and I could break down the chords, but I really just want you to understand the sound. This is not something that we hear today in music, and especially to start on this is kind of crazy. But he does something beautiful, and I'm talking about Stevie Wonder, in that he resolves it quickly into something that's more consonant and something that's more pleasing to the ear. So it's like this tension and release. It's creating this kind of pull, like, what is that? And then, okay, I get it. And this is the pull that I'm talking about when you're understanding the genius behind what Stevie Wonder's doing in the song. So, okay, and the chord here we're playing again is the A 9 sharp 11, and then we resolve to an A flat major 9. So A flat, E flat, G, B flat, C. All right, and this is why I say we are in the key of A flat major loosely, because it's resolving to that. So tension, release. That's so beautiful. Now, something that also stood out to me as I was breaking this down is the appreciation that artists like Jacob Collier have for Stevie Wonder and his approach, because this is something that is very colorful and, again, adds a lot of tension. This is not something that you hear in today's music. So it pulls chords and movements that are unorthodox, but it's also telling you a story. So when you think about Michael Jackson, what he's meant to music, we sometimes forget the people that make that music come alive. He's able to come up with something that's timeless and have Michael Jackson as the vessel to bring that song to life. So you can tell it's a very 70s, 80s groove. All right, and left hand is doing something very simple here. All right, so that's the bass line. I love that. And that's a really nice groove that you can use even if you're a producer and you want to make some beats or want to make some music or R&B, neo soul, and really make some really good sounding songs. You can use that in anything. All right, so back to the top. And then it does something here. So let's keep moving. And then we're going to go. Now, this is also something that's outside of the key. So Stevie Wonder borrows chords. This looks like it's in the key of E flat major, I think. So this is an F minor 7. And then he plays. This is like the 5 in E flat major, which is quite crazy. So we're going to be playing like a B flat 7 here, like a dominant 7 chord here. But in this voicing, I just add a grace note here. So that's crazy. And then we're going to change the key again. So listen to this. Ooh. Oh, that's crazy. So again, F minor 7 here. This is a B flat dominant 7. And then we're going to play this chord, which is like a D flat minor 9. We are in the key of B major now. All right, so this is crazy. B flat minor 9. And this is one of those altered chords that, again, we don't hear too often today, but it's really pretty. So this is like an E flat augmented 7 sharp 9. And then it brings us back to the verse. So I'm just working on the intro and the verse. I can break down the entire song again in the lab, but I just wanted to show you some of these chord movements and how they really stand out. This is like an E major 7, G flat minor 7, and then this is like an A flat minor 7, and then A major 7. Now, just between this, we've changed keys again. So this is like borrowing chords from the key of E major. So, sorry, this is like key of E major, yeah. And again, resolves. That is insane. So if you think about that, so we went from almost like B major here, A flat, E flat, major, and then B major, and then E. That is insane. All right. All right, so I won't make this video too long, but I really just wanted to dive into the genius behind Stevie Wonder's approach to this song. And I think when Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Stevie all came together, they really made some magic happen. And I really just wanted to dive into the genius of what Stevie Wonder was able to accomplish. Considering the time and adding this type of movement and chords, it's pretty insane. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like this kind of content, and if you can also look at this song from a different lens and maybe appreciate the artistry behind it, the music behind it, and the approach and the composition. So we're gonna pause this video here. If you guys want the full lesson, you can find it in the lab, but I wanted to share some chords with you and some thoughts and some ideas that I feel have stood the test of time. And this song, as you can tell, the chords are quite timeless. So we're gonna end this video here. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.